Now, I grew up pretty shy and introverted, and I remember back in school how annoyed I was at guys talking to girls in front of me, how intimidated I felt when guys could just talk and make fun and have riz, and have good humor and entertain girls. And I would just sit in the back or next to it, being quite quiet, being shy, feeling every minute that passes going more into my shell. I don't know if you can relate to that. It's definitely more of an introvert thing. It really bothered me, and it made me realize I need to get out of my shell in order to have a social life. So I always thought being introverted, being shy is a really bad thing if you want to get girls. And only over time, over the last couple of years especially, being in more like higher level social circles and social situations, I learned that silence can actually be a superpower. It can actually really help you getting laid if used in the right environments, in the right moments. So in this video, I want to talk about how to use your introverted tendencies as a tool, as a magical weapon to attract girls. Before we do that, of course, we need to talk about when to use it and when not to use it. What situations can it be useful for you, and when is it really time to be more extroverted and get a little bit out of you. So first, let's talk about when to not use your silence. Of course, if you're a guy working from home, living alone, having a very engineering, analytical type of job, or being around a lot of men in general, and just not being exposed to women at all, well, being silent will not help you. I have to be brutally honest with that, right? So if you are more on the introverted side, which I definitely am and was even more back then, you have to take some form of action. What do I mean by that? Well, for me, there's different ways of meeting women, of being more social. It doesn't even have to be women, but I assume if you watch this channel, are generally interested in meeting a few more ladies in your life. The usual things are using dating apps these days, right? Going out to bars and clubs, meeting friends in general, and maybe the friend introduces you to another friend, and then you hook up with these types of people. Or you meet somebody at school, at campus, at college, maybe in the gym, which I don't recommend approaching in a gym, by the way, but maybe you get friendly with someone and go on a date eventually. These are the usual things. Now, what do they have in common? They all have in common that you're basically relying on your circumstances, right? With dating apps, you're relying on an algorithm. With your uni, you're relying on whoever signs up for their course. With your social circle, you're relying on your friends having other cool, sexy female friends. So really, you're not taking ownership. So ownership is a really important factor in life in general. If you want to make money, you have to take ownership. If you want to have good relationships with men or women, you have to take ownership. If you want to live in a beautiful place that you feel really great at, and that the environment gives you what you need in life, you have to take ownership. If you want to have an amazing dating life, you have to take ownership. So it starts with moving from these common ways of meeting people to the more challenging, uncommon ones, which, if you put in the work, will give you way more results. It starts, if you would draw a pyramid. I don't know if my editor can pull it off. It starts on the bottom. It starts with the foundation of cold approach. Cold approach is a vital skill. You need to know how to approach strangers. I know you're introverted. I know you're maybe a bit shy. I know it's hard for you to give a compliment to strangers or to open yourself up a bit, but this is a crucial factor, right? If you don't have any social life, and if you're currently only relying on dating apps or whatever comes your way here and there, learning the art of cold approach, and I'm not saying you have to be a day game fanatic and approach 50 girls a day and grind clubs or anything like that, but just be the kind of guy who, when he sees an attractive woman on the street, at the bus stop, waiting in line at a cafe, whatever, that he's able to say hi, give a direct, honest compliment, and see what happens after, right? It can really be as simple as that. You need that as a foundational skill, because everything else I'm gonna talk about, which is building a strong social media presence and building a strong social circle, also relies on the skills that you learn on cold approach. So this foundation is really important. Okay, how else can we meet ladies before we're gonna talk about silence, which this video is about? You can build an incredible social circle, right? Obviously, there's a difference between, as I said, you living alone at home or working very analytical, and you doing something social, either for your profession, could be maybe you're a photographer, maybe you work in a clothing shop, maybe you are designer interacting with different people. Maybe you are a wedding planner and you collaborate with other companies, whatever, right? Endless possibilities. You will meet more people by default. Also, you can do that in your free time. You can organize certain parties on Saturdays. You can go ice skating together. You can organize outdoor cinema on your rooftop. You can organize having cocktail classes in an apartment that you rented, or your apartment, or a friend's apartment. You can be the guy who brings people together, is my point. You can organize photo shoots. You can the list is endless, right? You can be that guy, and then out of that, things will happen. First of all, you're kind of on the top of a pyramid, so you have authority, you have status, and status is very important when it comes to dating. When I talk about status, I don't mean a Rolex and a Porsche. I mean, is this guy making things happen? Is he taking leadership? Is he taking ownership? Is he the reason that all of us have a good time now? Is he the reason that we meet? Is he the reason that my Saturday afternoon is now fun and not boring? Well, thanks to him, that's the case, and that gives you status. You want to think long-term how to build an attractive social circle. And this has different phases, right? It could just be something small, 3-4 people coming together. It could be something bigger, creating big parties, creating big events, creating holidays together, or excursions, or road trips, or hiking trips together. And this could be as big as creating some form of brand. Could be you own a yoga studio. Could be you own a coffee brand and you organize excursions to the farmers with models and shoot content on it. It could be, like I do, having a bikini brand. It could be any of that sort. That's like the top of the pyramid, I would say, okay? So to repeat that, at the bottom, cold approach, you need those skills. Even if you're at the top now, like I'm on the top of that small pyramid with my bikini brand, I still needed to learn all the basics in cold approach for many years, for thousands of approaches, and I needed to learn and improve my social skills to be relaxed around women in general house parties and general social events that I organized and took part in. And then later I started my own brand, which now kind of has the social circle on autopilot. That's the main kind of benefit of the top of that pyramid. Now, the beautiful thing is you did the work now. If you have certain cold approach skills or you have a social circle, you can now relax. You can now be more silent. You can let the pause and the fact that you kind of build the work, that you exposed yourself to women, work for you. What do I mean by that? Let's say you approach a woman on the street, and sure, that is a very active action, right? You have to walk up to her, you have to maybe stop her, you have to use your whole kind of like focus and intention to make her understand you want to talk to her. But once you did that, once you give a nice compliment and maybe ask her a question, you can really tone it back. You will see that in my videos. I'm very, friendly and open and almost a little bit childish at the beginning, but as soon as I hook her, as soon as she stands there, I can really lean back and I can let silence work for me. I can let her talk. This principle becomes even stronger, 10 times stronger, when you're in a social environment. Because the great thing about social environments is everybody's there anyway. Nobody's going to run away. There's not a tight time limit like there's on a cold approach. So you can talk to a girl, maybe for 2 minutes, and then almost withdraw your attention and talk to someone else. That's a bit more of an advanced technique, but then this girl will see you talk to another girl, might create a little bit of jealousy in a good way. Or you played a really long game, which is, you're in a social event or kind of a group that comes together many times for whatever context, and okay, you really like this one girl, but you don't want to talk her ear off from the first moment on, because remember, silence is a superpower. This is the whole point of this video. So you can talk to her a little bit and then again just withdraw the attention until the next time you're gonna see her, which is the beauty of having a social circle. People usually come back in the same groups, and that might, expand over, and that might take a long time. Maybe you see a girl once and then it takes you weeks or months to see her again. But if you do that with multiple girls at the same time, it's very effective. This is basically how I run my dating life these days. And only because of that, only because I went through all the different stages of seduction. I was really shy, then I went really hard on night game, then I went really hard on day game and cold approach, then I went into social circle game, and now I have my own brand. I know the differences, and I know that flirtation isn't having riz. It isn't saying the right thing at the right time. It's not having that perfect line. It's not even agreeing on a certain thing or having the same favorite movie or, having banter about some band. None of that creates attraction. Really, what creates attraction is your charisma, which in my 5 elements makes up 50% of your dating score. But in charisma, what does that mean? A part of charisma is girls like being around you. They feel comfortable around you. They feel attracted to you because you're not constantly talking. You just chill. You ask the right questions, you say something when you have something to say, and you shut up when you have nothing to say. That is very attractive. The most attractive guy on a dinner table is often the guy who talks the least because he doesn't have to prove anything. So again, we talk about status. Usually guys with the highest status talk the least, right? That seems logical when I say it like that. So why do you then think you need to talk to a girl all the time to get status? The same logic applies. You don't. You have to be silent. You have to let her assume things. Create some mystery around you. Make her wonder why you're not trying harder. Make her wonder why you only talked to her for 2 minutes at the party and then walked away and maybe excused yourself when usually the girl is the one excusing herself, and then didn't return and instead talked to someone else. All of these things create much more attraction than you having the right line at the right time. Trust me on this. Additionally, what does even the fact that you're not talking too much tell her about you? Well, it means you're comfortable. It means you've done this before. It means you're not nervous. She could even then assume you're doing this all the time. You're around women all the time. You know how to handle a woman. She thinks you're not trying too hard because she's maybe not that special to you anyway because you're around hot girls all the time. That's all now assumptions that might be in her head, consciously or subconsciously. But again, I've seen this work over and over again. The beautiful thing is you can have that energy, that presence, that charisma, even in cold approach. So again, to that example that I mentioned before, if you talk to a girl on the street and you open her, you ask her questions, but then you kind of pull it back a bit and you let her talk. Now she makes the same assumptions about you. She already forgot that you're the guy approaching her. Now she's really into you because like, oh my God, this guy's like looking at me. He's very charming. He uses his words very wisely. She wants to give more. Now she wants to prove herself to you. This is what good game really is. This is what Riz really is. Don't get too confused with, certain TikToks which have millions of views, where the guy just says something funny or he touches her at the right moment or, makes a funny, sarcastic comment on what she said. It doesn't create attraction. It creates views, it creates attention, it looks cool, it looks flashy, but I've been through all the different phases. I've been obsessed with seduction over 8 years. I have a pretty good life. I hope all my overlays in all the videos prove that. Show me the other dating coaches who have an abundance in footage with super sexy girls on their YouTube channel, on their TikToks, better than me, and they teach a different thing. I want to see that. So I think I know what I'm talking about in that sense. So trust me when I say you don't need to become an extrovert if you are currently feeling like an introvert. But you have to take ownership. You have to start learning cold approach skills. This is a non-negotiable. I always say, even if you watching this right now would, with a snap of my fingers, turn into a famous DJ tomorrow, right? And suddenly you're on the top of the club, all the girls screaming at you. They like you, right? You have a lot of status. There's an after party. The after party is filled with hot chicks. Sure, it would be easier for you to get laid, but you still wouldn't get what you wanted because you would miss that base layer. You would miss that seduction skill, that holding the pressure, that being really relaxed, that communicating non-verbally to everyone that you are high status. You just don't have that yet. And the only way to develop that is exposing yourself to women over and over again. At the beginning, with cold approach, I would say a few hundred approaches does the trick. You can go harder if you want afterwards, but usually within 6 to 12 months, beginning with a certain push or help from a coach like me, you can get a lot done, and then focusing on social circle. And the best way to focus on social circle is having a layer in between, which is working on your social media. Because if you think about it, social media is your online presence. You're gonna invite most of the women to your events through your Instagram profile. And then they will check, who is this guy? Who is he again? Yeah, I've met him briefly on the street, or I've met him briefly in a bar. Who is he? Yeah, he's that guy. He has cool hobbies. These two cool girls follow him as well. All right, I should come, right? So the second non-negotiable is having a social media presence. So if you boil down my channel, what I want to teach you is, I want to teach you cold approach, and I want to teach you how to build a proper social media profile. Then you will be in a position where your introversion will help you, where you will have gained the experience how to ask the right questions, how to be relaxed, how to hold pressure, how to have a certain sexual vibe around you, how to say the right things at the right time. And then this coupled with you being more introverted, more relaxed, feeling okay in silence generally anyway, it will be a superpower. We want to go all the way, right? So the bonus part in this video is how to get physical. How do we actually go from the, okay, she's now attracted to me, she thinks I'm cool and all, to how can I actually get laid? So that was also a big challenge for me growing into this. I finally ended up on dates with girls because I got their number on the street, but then I would just sit there for 2 hours and talk and talk and talk. And I didn't know how to get physical. Most of it was just coupled with my lack of confidence. I just didn't know how to do it. I thought the girl doesn't like me. I didn't want to be exposed as the guy who wants sex, right? So that comes with time. You have to just go on more dates and just kind of jump into the deep end. Similar to cold approach, you just have to do it. And if you fuck it up, recalibrate, not make a big deal out of it. The beautiful thing is, with the technique that I've been describing in this video, where the girl is suddenly, showing more interest to you because you're pulling back a bit, you're letting her invest in you, she will make certain hints. She might touch you on the shoulder, she might touch you on your hand, she might lean in a bit, she might laugh, and then ha ha ha, as she laughs, put her hand on your shoulder or knee or however the position is. And then you don't have to do 100% of the work anymore. You don't have to push like the extroverted guys to do. You can be relaxed and wait for a small signal from her, because you're still the man. You still have to do the thing, right? You have to still lead and be decisive and go from A to B and suggest, moving. That could be restaurant, bar, moving to your home, moving room, turning the light off, telling her to take that off, and so on, however far you go. But she will give you hints. This could be nonverbal, this could be verbal. Mostly it's nonverbal from her side. And then you can be in a position where you reward her actions. You don't have to be the action guy all the time anymore. You can do a little action, she can do a little action, and you're basically rewarding her behavior more and more. So she touches you a little bit, you touch her back a little more. Then she touches you a bit, you touch her back a little more. She gives you strong eye contact, you give her strong eye contact. So it becomes a dance, and it doesn't become this constant you trying to get something out of the girl by touching her, and you kind of get lost, and then it becomes needy, and that turns her off anyway, right? So again, it's a beautiful position to be in where you're surrounded by girls because you did the work before to get them in your circle, and then they start seducing you a little bit. Obviously, you have to sharpen your senses a bit. Sometimes those guys can be a bit ignorant when it comes to girls sending us signals, but that will come over time as well. Don't worry. So before this video ends, I want to give you another mental model of what I'm trying to teach you here. Imagine you want to make money, right? And you don't know how. And there's different options to make money. And let's say you work in front of a store, right? Maybe one of these guys will have to hold the sign and flip the sign and get people into the store, or just people who stand in front of a store handing out samples. You're doing marketing. You're trying to get people into your store. That's your job. That's how you make money. Obviously, it's better to be extroverted for that type of job. You have to approach people. You have to be smiling all the time. Otherwise, you will be exhausted very fast. So that's how I kind of see guys who talk a lot. Back then, I was really jealous. I was like, oh my God, these people can interact all the time. Their social battery never runs out. They can move. They don't give a fuck. They can embarrass themselves, da da da. And there's a lot of good attributes in all of that. But imagine instead of you being the person who is in front of the store, talking to people, convincing them, telling them all the good stuff about the product and trying to get them in and trying to make them spend money. Imagine you own the store. Imagine you are the business, and people just come to you because they think you provide a good service and they want to know more, and they want to, spend their money, which is time and attention, at the place where you already are. This is the mindset. So this is what you can build long-term with an incredible social circle that is filled with women. Obviously, you have to be strategic about that, and I can help you with that in coaching sessions. But imagine you not only are the store, you have the confidence and the aura and the charisma of the store owner. You know you're enough. You know you're good. You know money will come in. You have clients. Your business is going well. So having that energy as a general daily energy that you take out into the world and actual manifested in the real world by you having the skills, the game, the social media profile, which communicates to the world 24/7 that you're cool, and having a social circle. This is much more powerful than you knowing what to say, having the perfect line. So if you imagine it like that, it's all a bit more about long-term thinking. It's more about principles over techniques. It's about inner confidence and strategic setup over quick fixes, quick lines, changing one piece of clothing or buying a Porsche or anything like that. It won't help you. So, hope that was interesting. Let me know if you're more introverted or more extroverted in the comments. I'm also curious if you've ever done the 16 personalities test. For myself, am I INTJ. So I definitely was eye-opening for me to read about all that. If you want to do the test, you can go to 16personalities.com. And yeah, comment below what you get. See you in the next video.